Alright guys, so it is a PSVR2 physical game collection video. I thought I'd do a bit of an update. It's been quite a while since I've done a physical game collection for PSVR2. So there's a good amount. I mean, you know, not every game's coming out on disc for PSVR2. Kind of makes sense. There's a lot of low budget indie, smaller, shorter games. It might not make sense for a lot of those sort of short games to come out on disc, but wherever possible, I do like to get them physical, of course. But first of all, before we get to the collection, a bit of a package to open here. What could it be? What have I done? Right, let's have a look. Hang on. Just rip the fucker. Just rip the fucker. A brand new spare PSVR2. Mental. I made a video about this a few days ago. There was a ridiculous sale on. Sony reduced the price of this headset by 200 quid. Went down to 350. Or was it? Yeah, anyway, I can't remember what the original price for the base package was, 500 or 550. Anyway, it went down to 350, right? But if you were clever, I found out from someone on Twitter, you could go to Vertigo.com at that time and get an extra 20% off if you used your introductory offer on the Very credit system that you can sign up for. So essentially, for a short while on Very.com, you could get a PSVR2 for 280 quid, which is just a ridiculously low price for this amazing headset. So I couldn't pass it up. It's the first time I've ever had a spare of a piece of gaming hardware, really. You know, it's a little bit ridiculous. It's a little bit extravagant. But the thing is, with VR, of course, you do run the risk of serious damage to the controllers, for one. You know, because you're wagging them all around and you're getting physical and stuff. And I have hit them on various pieces of furniture and the wall and stuff like this. So accidents happen with VR controllers. There is a risk. Now, the one time that I did really break my PSVR2 controllers, luckily at the time it was still in warranty. So I did actually send them off and got, it was just one controller. I did send it off and get it repaired for free. And they sent me a brand new one, basically, replacement, within a couple of weeks. So that was really good. But once it's out of warranty, it's not entirely sure what would happen there or how much you might get charged, if you're even able to get spare controllers. They certainly, I'm assuming they would charge you. You probably have to go and buy a whole new headset, and you know, because they don't sell the controllers separate. And this has been a point of contention with fans. But I kind of saw this as 280 quid being sort of a relatively cheap way of getting a spare set of controllers, should I need them, but also a spare headset. Because, you know, screens do fail eventually, dead pixels occur, and that kind of thing. And it's just nice to have a spare for in the box, just stashed away somewhere in case I need it in the future. Because I don't think you're going to be able to find this again for £280. Brand new, of course, never mind second hand. You wouldn't want to go that route for a VR headset because of some of the issues I just talked about. I don't think I'll ever find a brand new PSVR2 for 280 quid again. So that's what I went and done. So it's pretty crazy. But it feels nice to have a spare. It's the first time I've ever done that with anything. Yeah. Right, so onto the physical collection. So there are a number of PSVR1 games that you can still play on the PSVR2. So I'll go through those ones first. So we have Doctor Who, The Edge of Time. Now, a bit contentious to include this in this video because I have not yet confirmed whether owning the disc version of the PSVR1 release gets you access to the PSVR2 version on the store. I don't know that's a thing yet. It certainly is for some of the games, not confirmed for others. It's only about 10 quid on the store. It's a really cool game actually, very nice graphics, puzzle game, but I kind of got stuck on this the first time I tried to play it. and I didn't really persevere very far. I got to something inside the TARDIS, and I got stuck on some puzzle in there. So one day I'll go back to it, but it's a very good looking game. Nice atmospheric. I'm not a huge fan of Doctor Who per se, but cool to have that there, right? So, and even if I don't get access to the PSVR2 version, I will probably pick it up again when it goes on sale at some point, if I don't already have access to it with that disc. Tetris. Now, you did have to get an upgrade. It would work via this disc, but I did have to pay for an upgrade to access the PS5 version. Still cheaper than buying it again on the store, and I wouldn't have done that. But it is a very, very cool game, Tetris Effect in VR. Obviously, play it on the flat screen as well, but in VR it's just so much more immersive to be surrounded by all of these crazy particle effects that are going on whilst you're playing. And of course, with the extra resolution and the HDR colours of the PSVR2, it's just absolutely beautiful, really relaxing, really one of those sort of flow state games, and it's definitely my favourite way to play Tetris. Very cool game. Next one is No Man's Sky. Of course, everybody knows about No Man's Sky. What can you say? The PSVR2 version is absolutely beautiful and outperforms expensive PC rigs, according to the developer. That's thanks to the eye tracking, foveated rendering that allows the PSVR2 version to run so well in comparison to PC VR No Man's Sky. It's a game that I've spent an hour in here and there, every now and again. Every few months I'll dip in a little bit, but I've still never truly delved deep into this game. And of course it is huge in scope. And so now I'm at the point where I've waited this long. I think I'm going to keep waiting a little bit longer and see what they do for a PS5 Pro update. Because there's already been sort of leaks showing that in the code of No Man's Sky, they're already planning for PS5 Pro updates, and that will no doubt mean a further boost to performance on PSVR 2. So it already looks fantastic. God only knows how beautiful this game is going to look when it runs on PS5 Pro. So I'm just going to basically keep waiting. May as well. And the latest update, of course, Worlds, is only part 1. So God knows what Worlds part 2 or whatever else is going to come on that game. I'm basically at the point of just I may as well wait, because I don't play multiplayer, so I'm not missing out on anything like that. When I do get into that game, I may as well have it the most complete, most beautiful version of it. Next one is Job Simulator. It's a standard. It's a classic VR game. But actually, for quite a while, this was going for quite a lot of money on eBay. I haven't checked recently, but it did get up to around £100. The physical version of this game. It's loved. It's been at the top of the sales charts for ages and ages and ages. It's a pretty simple game, but it is really cool. It's fun. It's just one of those sort of sandbox games. It's very easy to get into, very good introductory game for VR because you're not moving around. It's not going to cause you motion sick. You're stationary and you're just messing about and experimenting with these random things around you in different settings, and it's fun. It is a cool game. Yeah. Job Simulator. Most people into VR already know about that one. Next one is Windlands 2. This is a very cool game. It gives you that sort of Spiderman feeling because you're swinging around on these sort of vines that you shoot out. And Windlands 2, in some regards, improved on the initial, on the first game by adding combat, adding multiplayer, adding sort of missions, and it fleshed out the sort of game world in that regard. It's not as challenging as the first game, and there is. I would still hope that the first game came to PSVR 2. It's not going to happen, but this is an awesome game, and I'm really glad that it came out on PSVR 2 finally, and with a free upgrade. So you can use your disc version of Windlands 2 to get the free PS5 PSVR 2 version. So very cool, Windlands 2. Next one is Wanderer. Awesome game, beautiful. Now this looked next gen on the last headset. It was absolutely gorgeous, crystal clear, high fidelity, pure gorgeous graphics, really engaging, fully realised worlds, awesome puzzles, that kind of thing. I never actually finished it. So they are creating a souped up version of this called Wanderer's Fragments of Fate, right? And they've added a hell of a lot to this upgraded version that's due to come out later this year. I believe it's later this year. But they've added lots of different locomotion things, like some action, some combat. So it's going to be a wholly different feeling game, quite a lot. Hopefully they've changed. I hope they've tweaked some of the puzzles as well, so you can't just go in and do the exact same solutions. Maybe, I mean, I'm assuming they will, because they put a lot of effort into that remake. But the original is there. Actually, I'm saying this. I don't know if you can play this on PSVR2. I don't think you can you? That shouldn't be in this video. But I'm including it because what's coming soon is going to be pretty special. So yeah. Right. Next one is After the Fall. It's sort of a multiplayer arena shooter. Is that how you describe it? Really cool, nice looking graphics, crisp, good action. I haven't really played it a lot because again it's multiplayer only, and that's not really my thing. I'm saying multiplayer only. Can you play it by yourself? Maybe you can. I don't know. It's a cool game if you like that kind of thing. Right. Now on to the PS5 branded games. So okay, here we go. First one, VR Skater. Really cool. For anybody who used to love Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, this is a must-have. But it takes a lot of dedication to get into, and I have to say I haven't done that yet. It's another one where I've spent an hour here and there and seen the potential of it and really enjoyed the time that I have spent with it. But I haven't mastered it yet. But it's a game that you can certainly tell that is fair once you do actually master it. So you're basically using your hands as if they were feet, kicking the board off in different directions and flips and grabs and all that stuff. Very intuitive actually once you get it, but it's quite complex controls when you first encounter them, you know. But fair, like I said. So yeah, but very, very, very cool. And one of these days I'll get around to actually putting the time in required to get good at that game. Next one is The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners 2 Retribution Payback Edition. The longest title of a game I think I've ever owned. So, sequel of course to Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. This sequel really shows the PSVR 2 at its best. It's got such good use of contrast, the colours, the blacks, you know, there's night missions in this game as well, so it really makes the most of the headset's ability to do pure blacks with that OLED screen. It adds a chainsaw, it adds various other game mechanics. It's just more of the same, but looks a lot nicer. Yeah, it's the showstopper for the system. And this was the Payback Edition. You got like a steel book and various bits and pieces, but amazing game. And I have finished it, and yeah, absolutely awesome. Well, from the sublime to the ridiculous, Operation Serpent, very, very low budget shooter. I haven't spent a long time with it, and what I did spend, I wasn't impressed. It's not very good. I mean, maybe it gets better. Again, I've only played half an hour of it, but very low budget. This is one of those ones that I shamelessly only got because it was on disc. And I like to have things on disc. So, but there you go, Operation Serpent. Next one is Happy Funland, which is basically a sort of horror themed walking sim where you walk around this sort of spooky theme park, which is sort of a macabre satire on Disneyland. And you know, it's got its issues. It's got a little bit of jank. The combat's not good. The voiceovers, the audio levels on the voiceovers is not great, and you can't really understand what they're saying sometimes. But other than that, it's atmospheric. It's fun. It's funny. And I did enjoy my time with it, actually. I did enjoy going through these rides and the sort of various observations that it makes, and the like I said, the satire on the Disney thing. And it's all right. I did enjoy my time with that. I'd say 4 or 5 hours worth of decent fun, despite the jank. Next one is Synth Masters, Synth Riders Remastered. So I did have this on PS4, PlayStation VR1, and you could get a free upgrade for the PSVR2 version, but I went ahead and bought it on disc anyway, just to support the developer, because actually I was just really appreciative of the fact that they gave a free upgrade, and I absolutely loved the game, so I just bought it to support them really. Still sealed. I don't need to unseal it because I already had the PS4 version digital, and that was automatically upgraded to run on PS5. So yeah, that's staying sealed. Synth Riders, brilliant rhythm action game. Next one is an absolute must and a system seller. It's Gran Turismo 7. I was never a sim racing fan, but this is doing a good job of trying to convert me. Even though I only play with the controller, with the motion controls on the DualSense, right? So even though I'm only doing that, it's still really immersive and really fun. And yeah, just beautiful game. Again, great use of HDR. One of the most immersive sort of moments I've had on PSVR 2 so far is playing this, and when sort of like the sun glints in the corner of your eye, or reflections from street lights and on a nighttime level, that kind of thing. It's just little details like that really make you feel like you're there. And it looks beautiful, but I am curious to see, because they keep updating this game all the time, I am curious to see if they're going to do a further PS5 Pro patch to just increase the performance just a little bit more, to get the resolution as high as it possibly can be, and hopefully 90 Hertz native refresh rate rather than reprojected. This game looks beautiful as it is, but it doesn't look perfect. And you can imagine with the power of the Pro, oh my god, this is going to look ridiculous. But yeah, everyone who's played this with a rig, with a racing wheel rig, say it's literally the most immersive video game they have ever played, and I can believe that. I've not tried it with the wheel yet. I've not thought to invest in a wheel yet. Like I said, I'm not a sim racer by trade, but awesome game. Next one is the Tale of Onaro, which is a really charming sort of puzzle adventure game, where you basically work with this lass, and you basically direct her to do certain things to help you in your puzzle solving. But there is action as well. There's a little bit of combat, but you know, it's quite sort of anime themed. But I really enjoyed this game actually. It's very cool. I would say this is a hidden gem. It doesn't get talked about a lot, but it's really engaging. And once you sort of get the knack of the logic of the puzzles, it's really cool game. I would definitely recommend this. Don't sleep on Tale of Onagoro if you get the chance to pick it up. Next one is Resident Evil Village. Wow, holy shit. I mean, Capcom, of course, with Sony money, has been porting their AAA games into VR, and I couldn't be any happier with this. Absolutely amazing experience. You know, the full game. I don't know what needs to be said. It's a Resident Evil game. It's one of the best ones, and it's in VR, and it's unbelievable. And thankfully, they use pretty much all the features of the PSVR 2 headset. Most notably for me is capacitive touch, which is where you only have to rest your finger on the grab button in order to, for example, handle your gun or pick items up, that kind of thing. It makes a big difference. It's very immersive. It means you don't have to you don't have to hold that grab button in for long periods of time, which is very fatiguing. And it's a regular sort of frustration that not all devs use this capacitive touch feature of PSVR 2, and it's just, even though, you know, smaller studios have done it. Cosmo Dread, very low budget game, does it, and this game does it. But anyway, that's just to sort of make the point that attention to detail, they've really tried to make this feel and play as nicely as it can do in VR. Given the fact that it's bringing a flat game over into VR, there's always going to be a few concessions here and there, but fantastic job. Yeah. Next one is Tennis on Court. Very competent tennis game. Apparently there's some issues with multiplayer, although I haven't played multiplayer at all with it. Single player, it's very nice. It plays how you would expect it to, but one of the great things is you can actually set it up to be more arcadey or more sim, more realistic. And of course, it's much harder to play if you set it to realistic, to sim. So I'm not quite there with it yet, but it's a cool game. I mean, it's what you might expect, and it plays competently. I think it's pretty good, pretty good. Next one is Dyschronia Chronos Alternate. So this is like a murder mystery, and it did grab me for a good while. It comes in sort of 3 parts. They released it sort of episodically. All 3 parts are out now, and I'm on the second part, and it pains me to say I might not finish it. I might not actually get around to finishing this game, because it's the thing about it is, so you spend a lot of time going through these investigations, finding clues, investigating crime scenes, talking to people, moving around environments, blah, blah, blah. And then it gets to the court date, essentially, where you have to present your case. And if you don't make a compelling enough case, then you have to do the whole thing again. And what makes that frustrating is that this game has a lot of sort of stop and start to it. Every time you change location or go through a door, there's a black screen. It might sound like a little thing, but it's quite frequent as you're moving around. So and there's lots of sort of staggered or conversations you can't skip through very quickly, stuff like this. It feels a bit, it's frustrating to play if you're having to do it for a second time, and you do have to do that if you don't sort of win your case on the first attempt. And I don't know if I've got the patience to keep going back. Again, if you leave it for a few months as well, you kind of forget the details of the case. You have to sort of learn what's going on all over again. It's a shame, man, because I like what it's trying to do. I just don't think it does it quite well enough. But there you go. I'm sure some people like it. The Last Worker. It's a nice little game. I like the sort of philosophy behind it. It's sort of this commentary against sort of big business, and it's basically a parody, a satire on Amazon. Basically, you're the last human worker, and all the other workers are just machines and bots and stuff. And yeah, I had fun with it, but I came up against a game-breaking bug, unfortunately, and the devs didn't seem to be aware of it. So one day I'll probably go back to it and try and get past that bit, but unfortunately I've not been able to finish it because of this game-breaking bug. But other than that, it's all right. It's not bad. Seeker My Shadow. So this is sort of a tabletop puzzle game where you guide this sort of pig-looking thing around solving puzzles. And it's actually all right. It's actually fun. I would recommend picking it up if you like puzzle games. If you see it on sale. Obviously, I've got the disc version because they're just obsessive about getting physical media. But yeah, temper your expectations. It's low budget. It's not a showstopper. It's not something you'd show off to your mates. But it's a nice, relaxing, sit down puzzle game where you can actually I enjoyed it. I'm going to say that. Yeah, I don't think I've finished it yet. I think I'm probably not too far off the end though. This is my newest pickup, and I've been waiting for this to come before I did this video actually. So there's a little thing in there floating around, and it is Overdark. Just Overdark. So it's basically a remake of Do Not Open. They had planned to bring Do Not Open into VR, but the devs sort of realised it was going to be too awkward to do that. So they sort of remade it to make it more suitable for VR. And this is brilliant, actually. Very atmospheric, beautiful graphics. Nice sort of environment-based puzzles. And, walking through this spooky house. And it has made me yelp a couple of times so far. Not very far into it, but yeah, this is pretty damn sweet. I am enjoying this game. And yeah. Overdark. I can definitely recommend that. Great game so far. Next one is Cave Digger 2, Dig Harder. I'd say this is another hidden gem. It's one that people might pass over on because it looks quite simple, looks quite generic, quite sort of basic graphics, but it's got a really addictive gameplay loop. It's kind of like a roguelite. It's got that sort of game loop of, you go down, you loot, you go back to base and level up your equipment, go back out, But the fact that you're sort of mining through these walls, and you can sort of find your way through caves by mining through walls and stuff, and the upgrades that you get are really compelling, really fun to use once you get them. You really feel upgraded once you get them, so it's rewarding to work towards those. It didn't get a lot of good press at the start when it first came out on PSVR1 because it had a lot of bugs and issues. They've since been sorted out, and I would say this is definitely a hidden gem. It's just, I thought it was a joy to play, I really did. So Cave Digger 2, I can recommend that. Multiplayer as well, though I've never played it multiplayer. The next one is Retropolis II, Never Say Goodbye. So weirdly, Retropolis 1 never came to PSVR, but the sequel, here it is. So again, I think this is like a murder mystery, sort of like a point and click style adventure, sort of robot, sort of future, sort of noir sort of feel to it. I haven't played it yet. Only recently picked this up, but I'm pretty confident that I will like that. It looks pretty sweet, pretty unique. Madison VR. So this has a reputation. The flat screen version of this has a reputation of being scientifically the most scary game ever made. And that's before they even put it in VR. So you can imagine, I've been a bit pussy with this, to be fair. I haven't even got past the first corridor. You start off in this room, then you go out into the corridor, and I haven't even got past that yet. I'm too scared. And actually, I was kind of waiting for Overdark to arrive first, because a lot of people said that Overdark is sort of spooky, but nowhere near as scary as this game. And this is just fucking terrifying, apparently. So I wanted to do the less scary one first, because I felt like if I played Madison first, it might spoil Overdark a little bit. That makes sense, to go from the most scary to a lesser scary one. I thought I'd go the other way. So I'll start with Overdark. Once I finish that, eventually one day I'll get around to this. But yeah, fantastic graphics, really photorealistic sort of look to it. And yeah, when I grow some balls, I'll play that eventually. Next one is Mixture. This is a third-person platformer, which is all right. It's got some pretty ropey reviews by some people. I didn't think it was terrible. A little bit awkward. There's a little bit of jank to it, but I enjoyed what I played. I didn't finish it. I can't remember why I stopped playing, but it's there. It's mid, but it's nice to have it on physical anyway. So. Next one is Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy Enhanced Edition. So it's one of the many examples of an enhanced edition of PlayStation having by far the best looking, best playing, best feeling version of a multi-plat game. PSVR2 from some silly people gets criticised for having just lots of multi-plats. Where was that ever a thing before? You would legitimately be able to criticise it if it didn't have the multiplats. But whatevs. Great atmospheric. If you're a Star Wars fan, it's nostalgia-gasms all over the place. Just the sound of blasters. Great performance as well. Good resolution, good frame rate. The movement of the enemies as they duck behind cover, and it's just so smooth. Really high frame rate. It's just really smooth graphics. I really liked it, and it's got this nice sort of hub world structure to it. So you go to the cantina and then you can select missions from there. Yeah, really solid game. Definitely a good one. Right, what have we got left? We got Townsman VR. Got this on launch, one of the first physical games I picked up. It's sort of a god sim game. It's very nice, very relaxing, very chilled. It's not really my genre. Never really been into god sim games, other than the original Sim City on SNES. I loved that. But I've spent a few hours with it, and it was okay, but it's just not my genre. But I've got that in the collection. Next one is Vertigo II, which was essentially made by one guy. The original game of this was ported by a different studio, but essentially made by one guy, a very young fella, who was part of the Half-Life team. And apparently, I haven't played a lot of this yet, but it certainly feels very Half-Life-ish, and it's up there. It's thought of as one of the very best VR games out there. Unfortunately, there are some performance issues with this on PSVR 2, some frame drops here and there, so I haven't played it yet. I've such a huge backlog, I've no need to jump onto this yet, and I'm sort of still holding out to see if that'll ever get patched. It's been a long time and no word, so it's unlikely, but we'll see. We'll see if the PS5 Pro is able to sort of automatically improve performance on games. I'm not sure how that'll work, but there's some talk of like sort of various AI tools or various capabilities of it that might be able to sort of automatically upscale performance. We shall see. Either way, one day I will get to this, and I know that I love it. Very quirky. It's basically an adventure shooter. I think Half-Life mixed with Rick and Morty is what people are saying. This is sort of a good description of this game. But so yeah, I'm sure I'll absolutely love that once I do get around to it. Next one is Resident Evil 4 remake. If you can believe it, I never actually played the original Resident Evil 4. Even though I've owned it on several different consoles. I've owned it on GameCube, I think I owned it on PS2, maybe even the Wii. I've owned it before, but I never got around to playing it. It's just one of those classics. It was always on the to-do list that I never got to. And I'm glad that I didn't, because now I get to play the remake in full awesome VR. And I know that's just going to blow my mind. I've played the first couple of chapters of it just to test it out, but yeah, I've not got very far into it. What I have seen was very, very impressive. So yeah, absolutely essential for the system. And the last one to show today is Song in the Smoke Rekindled Edition. Brilliant survival game, very charming, very relaxing, but also tense, nervous, headaches. You basically, yeah, survival game, lots of very cool mechanics to survive in these wilds, with these sort of dinosaurs stalking you around the place. This is a good example of a game that has Sony money behind the remake. They don't get a lot of credit for this because they don't really tell people, but there's a lot of games on PSVR 2 that Sony have put money into in order to get upgraded versions on their system to take advantage of the extra power. So yes, it's a multi-plat, but Rekindled isn't. Rekindled is for PSVR 2 only. And it's got significantly improved graphics, and that only happened because Sony paid the teams to do that. And it was another one that had a free upgrade if you already owned this game on PSVR 1, but it's another game that I bought it anyway just to support the developers, even though I didn't need to because I already had the original release. So Song in the Smoke Rekindled, absolutely brilliant game. So that is my physical PSVR 2 collection, along with a spare PSVR 2. Oh my leg. Alright guys, see you in the next video.